we come up with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
to us, black excellence, right?
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you just this year. Come on, bro.
Nobody wakes up expecting hip-hop royalty to look rattled, but allegedly, one post from 50 Cent had the internet acting like somebody tripped a silent alarm in a billionaire boardroom. No warning, no rollout. Just that one word everyone loves. When chaos is loading, receipts. And suddenly, timelines weren't scrolling anymore. They were refreshing. This wasn't a diss track. This wasn't a jokey troll post. This felt like the kind of tease that makes PR teams stop sipping coffee and start whispering. Fans leaned in. Critics smelled blood, and lawyers allegedly moved faster than Uber Eats during a rainstorm. Because when receipts get teased and Jay-Z's name gets dragged into the conversation, nobody assumes it's harmless. Silence hit differently. Every non-response sounded louder than a press conference. Every unrelated headline felt suspicious. The internet did what it does best. It decided panic before confirmation even clocked in. And suddenly, the narrative wasn't about what was true. It was about who looked like they were scrambling. This made rap beefs look like friendly sparring. Because when legacies, money, and perception collide, this isn't entertainment. It's damage control theater. And once 50 allegedly pressed send, the internet decided Jay-Z was already playing defense. It didn't start with a lawsuit, a subpoena, or a carefully leaked press quote. It started the way modern chaos always does. Casually, online, and with just enough ambiguity to let imagination outrun reality. One post, one tease. One word that makes executives reach for water and PR teams reach for group chats. Receipts. No attachments. No explanation. Just implication hanging in the air like smoke after a spark. That's the art of 50 Cent. He doesn't announce storms. He flicks a match and lets the internet argue about the fire. The moment those alleged receipts were hinted at, timelines stopped scrolling and started refreshing goring. Fans didn't ask if it mattered. They asked how explosive it could be. Because history says when 50 jokes, it's noise, but when he implies documentation, the temperature rises fast. J-Z single quotes S name doesn't drift through the internet. It lands. Decades of legacy, precision, and quiet control come with it. So, when people started whispering full damage control, it wasn't because of confirmed facts. It was because of optics, silence, timing. The sudden feeling that something behind the scenes had shifted from routine to reactive. The first wave of reactions looked like pure internet theater. Some laughed it off, calling it classic 5-0, controversy as cardio. Others weren't amused at all. They pointed to a familiar pattern. Teases escalate, speculation snowballs, and lawyers allegedly stop spectating and start billing. No proof required. Just the vibe that this wasn't a harmless troll. Memes hit immediately. Phones buzzing in glass offices. Boardrooms allegedly going quiet. Legal teams allegedly moving faster than emergency alerts. None of it verified. None of it needed to be. Online perception runs on momentum, not affidavits. And the momentum screamed, this feels different. What gave the moment weight was the long history between these two names. Two empires built in the same universe with completely different philosophies. One thrives on provocation and spectacle. The other survives on restraint and leverage. When the provocateur hints at receipts involving the strategist, people assume chess is being played somewhere far away from the comment section. Commentary pages wasted no time. Headlines got dramatic. Scramble, panic, damage control. Repeated so often they started sounding official. That's how narratives get born online. Repetition replaces confirmation. And confidence fills the gaps where facts should be. Jay-Z's silence became the loudest sound in the room. In today's culture, silence is a Rorschach test. Supporters called it professionalism. Critics called it avoidance. Neutral observers called it strategy. Everyone projected meaning onto the absence of a statement because the internet hates waiting more than it hates being wrong. Meanwhile, 50 didn't clarify because he never does. That ambiguity is the engine. By saying less, he lets everyone else say more, louder, messier, and with far more imagination. Every hour without explanation made the tease feel heavier, not lighter. The lack of detail became the detail. Old clips resurfaced, like they were foreshadowing in a movie nobody realized they were watching. Past interviews replayed with new suspicion. Lyrics reinterpreted like coded messages from a different era. Fans stitched timelines together like conspiracy boards, connecting dots that may never have been meant to touch. Context bent. Speculation sprinted. Sarcasm ruled the moment. People joked this made rap beefs look like friendly sparring. Others said this was corporate chess with better outfits. A few claimed this was the kind of situation that makes even billion-dollar confidence blink, not because of truth, but because of perception. And perception online doesn't care if it's fair. What escalated everything was how quickly legal language crept into the conversation. Not from official sources, from commentators guessing out loud. Words like statements, liability, and mitigation floated around like everyone suddenly earned a law degree. Just the idea of legal maneuvering added weight, even if nothing had been confirmed. Jay-Z's legacy amplified the moment. When you're known for control, even the suggestion of scrambling hits louder than it would for anyone else. The internet judges by expectation, and the expectation for Jay-Z is calm dominance. So imagine damage control felt like a crack in the armor. Whether it existed or not, pushback came fast. Some fans accused the internet of manufacturing drama, arguing that 50 thrives on attention and hinting doesn't equal substance. To them, the real scandal wasn't receipts. It was the audience's addiction to chaos. Both sides spoke with absolute certainty. That's the irony. Online confidence doesn't require evidence. It just requires volume. As hours passed, clarity didn't arrive. The story thickened. Every repost added another layer. Every meme nudged perception. The original tease became less important than the reaction itself. The reaction was the story now. By the end of this phase, one thing was undeniable. Whether the receipts were real, exaggerated, or pure bait, the internet had already framed Jay-Z as defensive and 50 as the instigator. Full damage control glued itself to the narrative, whether it belonged there or not. That's the real power of a tease in the digital age. You don't need proof to shift perception. You need timing, history, and an audience ready to believe. Something big is happening. Once the internet decided the word receipts meant something big, Calm packed its bags and left the building. Not because new information appeared, but because attention found a story it could stretch. Reaction channels flipped their lights on like it was breaking news season. Everybody had a take. Nobody had confirmation. And somehow that only made the conversation louder. Creators went live with the urgency of emergency broadcasts, lowering their voices like they were delivering classified intel while replaying the same screenshots on loop. Some leaned into seriousness, sprinkling phrases like allegedly, sources say, and behind the scenes, the way chefs add salt just enough to sound official. Others went full chaos, joking that this was the kind of situation where lawyers start billing before the phone stops ringing. Either way, restraint didn't stand a chance. Calm doesn't trend. Confidence does. Memes did what memes always do, turn anxiety into punchlines. Jay-Z was suddenly portrayed as the picture of strategic silence, staring at a phone like it might blink first. 50 Cent became the cartoon mastermind who drops a hint and walks away whistling while the building shakes. None of it was proven. All of it was persuasive. Because memes don't need facts. They need recognition. And the audience recognized the archetypes instantly. Celebrity reactions real, imagined, or conveniently vague added fuel. A few artists posted cryptic captions about truth, timing, or moving smart, which the internet immediately treated like coded telegrams. Emojis were analyzed like body language in a courtroom. Silence from some camps was called strategic. Silence from others was called suspicious. Every move, even unrelated ones, got folded into the same storyline because once a narrative locks. In Neutrality Disappears, the phrase full damage control started bouncing around like a catchy chorus. Commentators repeated it so often it felt official. What did it mean? Legal review? PR positioning? Quiet calls? Nobody knew and everyone pretended they did. The internet doesn't need definitions. It needs momentum. And momentum had already decided Jay-Z was playing defense while 50 Cent allegedly held leverage. The contrast in silence became a storyline of its own. Jay-Z's restraint was framed as pressure. 50 Cent's quiet was framed as confidence. Fair? Maybe not. Effective? Absolutely. Perception doesn't ask for balance. It rewards clarity. And the clearest story the internet could tell itself was that one side looked still while the other looked both old industry lore resurfaced, like fossils dug up to support whatever theory someone already believed. Past interviews were rewatched with a new lens. Lyrics were reread like encrypted messages. A decade-old quote suddenly felt prophetic. Context collapsed under confirmation bias, and timelines filled with threads connecting dots that may never have been meant to touch. When speculation gets bored, it time-travels. Pop culture analogies went wild. People compared it to a high-stakes poker game where one player casually taps the table and the room goes silent. Others said it felt like a prestige drama scene, rich people, quiet offices, tension so thick it hums. Someone joked it was corporate espionage with better suits. The analogies landed because they captured the mood, anticipation mixed with unease. What made this phase dangerous wasn't anger, it was excitement. The audience wasn't outraged, it was entertained. Entertained by the possibility of a power wobble. Entertained by watching a legend get framed as reactive. Entertained by the idea that influence could tilt without a single verified detail. Accountability is a buzzword, but spectacle is the real currency. As hours turned into days, fatigue should have set in. Instead, curiosity hardened. Every minor update felt loaded. Every unrelated post from either camp was dissected for subtext. Was this a distraction? A flex? A signal? The internet became a surveillance room where nothing was neutral and everything meant something. Debates split into camps with slogans. One side insisted this was classic 50 bait without bite. The other argued that bait is the bite, because optics do the damage long before facts arrive. Both sides spoke with absolute certainty. Confidence online doesn't require evidence. It requires volume and repetition. And repetition had already won. Even calls for patience backfired. Asking people to wait for confirmation was labeled naive. Suggesting restraint was accused of protecting power. The argument looped endlessly, feeding the algorithm exactly what it wanted. The story didn't need new fuel. It was burning on self-sustaining outrage. By the end of this phase, the facts were still thin, but the perception was thick. 50 Cent was framed as the man with cards nobody had seen yet. Jay-Z was framed as the man choosing every step carefully, under a microscope. Whether either framing was accurate no longer mattered. The audience had picked the movie it wanted to watch, and that's when a story becomes sticky. When viewers stop asking what happened and start waiting for proof, they were right. Not clarification, confirmation. From that moment on, every development, no matter how small, would be interpreted as validation. The stage was set. The crowd was restless. And whatever happened next, big reveal or quiet fade, was guaranteed to be read through the lens the internet had already built. Because once the outrage engine starts printing narratives, it doesn't shut down. It just waits for the next headline to stamp. By the time the internet's adrenaline dipped from a roar to a steady buzz, something irreversible had already happened. The story didn't need confirmation anymore. It had structure. It had characters. It had a villain, a provocateur, and an audience that already decided how the movie should end. And once a narrative hits that stage, facts don't drive it. Momentum does. Jay-Z didn't issue a dramatic statement. There was no podium, no emergency interview, no carefully leaked quote begging for context. Instead, The response, if you could even call it that, looked like classic restraint. Quiet. Calculated. Business as usual on the surface. But online, restraint doesn't read as strength. It reads as pressure. And the internet translated every calm move into proof that damage control was happening behind closed doors. That's the paradox of power. When you've built a reputation on control, even neutrality gets interpreted as reaction. Every unrelated headline involving jayz business moves, appearances, partnerships was filtered through the same question: is this part of the cleanup? Not because there was evidence, but because perception had already been bent that way. And once bent, it doesn't snap back easily. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's position in the story grew larger without him lifting a finger. He didn't escalate. He didn't clarify. He didn't need to. The tease had already done its job. In the public imagination, he became the man who could say more, even if he never planned to. And that potential alone created leverage. Silence, in his case, read as confidence. The contrast was unfair. But narratives don't care about fairness. Industry watchers started whispering, not loudly, but enough to be heard, about reputations, about optics, about how quickly the internet can reframe even the most untouchable figures. No one claimed a collapse. This wasn't a downfall story, it was subtler than that. It was about recalibration. The way words like unshakable quietly shifted to careful. The way dominance got described as discipline. Relationships felt strained, at least from the outside. Collaborators were careful with language. Commentators hedged their takes. Silence spread, not because people had nothing to say, but because nobody wanted to become the next screenshot in a thread arguing intent. In moments like this, saying nothing feels safer than saying something that can be clipped into a narrative. You didn't choose. What lingered most was how the audience changed. Not their opinions, but their expectations. People didn't want closure anymore. They wanted escalation. They wanted the next hint, the next caption, the next post that could be interpreted as a signal. Silence felt unsatisfying. Nuance felt boring. The internet wasn't hungry for truth. It was hungry for validation. As days passed, the memes slowed. But the story didn't disappear. It settled into the background, archived and ready, waiting for the next moment. Either name trended so it could resurface with fresh energy. That's how these situations live on. They don't end. They hibernate. For jayz, this moment wasn't about disproving anything. It was about maintaining equilibrium in a space that thrives on imbalance. For 50 Cent, it reinforced a reputation. He's carefully cultivated for years, the guy who doesn't need to prove a point publicly to make people uncomfortable privately. Both walked away intact. Neither walked away unchanged. And the internet learned a lesson it will promptly forget. That implication can outweigh evidence. That silence can be louder than speech. That the word receipts doesn't need a folder to shift perception. It just needs timing and an audience ready to believe something big is happening. By the end, no bombshell had officially dropped. No documents were unpacked in public. No definitive verdict was reached. And yet, the idea of full damage control remained glued to the conversation. Because once a label sticks online, it doesn't ask permission to stay. This wasn't a scandal with a clean ending. It was a reminder of how power moves now. Quietly, indirectly, through optics, implication, and the echo chamber of speculation. The story didn't close. It went silent. And this is the part where the internet acts like it's done. Even though everyone knows this story is just idling in the background, engine running. Because moments like this don't end with explanations. They end with anticipation. A pause so loud it makes people refresh their feeds like they're waiting for a jump scare. So here's the real question you can't dodge. Was this a calculated chess move that let the internet do all the dirty work? Or did the internet turn one word into a full-blown thriller because it wanted blood in the water? Did jayz actually need damage control, or did the audience decide? He did and write the script before the facts even showed up? Don't tiptoe around it. Say what you think in the comments and stand on it. If this story made you lean forward, good. That's how narratives hook you. If it made you argue with your screen, even better. Because that's how power shifts now. Not in press conferences, but in perception. And if you're still here listening, you already know what this channel does. We don't chase headlines. We break down how they're manufactured, amplified, and weaponized before truth even clocks in. Now do what the algorithm hates and the real ones respect. Smash that like button like it owes you money. Drop a comment that isn't recycled from someone else's take. Subscribe, because scandals don't retire, they reload. One hint becomes a headline. One pause becomes panic. One word becomes a week-long